Hello, it's Monica from Crafting with Quilling Lady, and I hope you have absolutely wonderful day. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create two super quick art theme shaped cards. If you like them, I really hope you'll feel inspired and craft along with me. So here you can have a look at my Color Your World collection with beautiful, vibrant, and very colorful 20 design papers and patterns. As you can see, the theme for this collection is art and color. So I couldn't resist and I created lots of beautiful and vibrant elements. And what's really good about this collection, you've got the design papers, but also pattern papers you can use for a variety of projects. And also, in this collection, you get a full set of 30 sentiments you can use for a variety of projects. And if you like this collection, in the description down below, I left the link to Buy Me a Coffee website where you can get the design papers, also SVG files and PDF files, 50% off until the 24th of June. So, for my very first card, I'm going to use SVG file with the easel shaped card. But you can also use a PDF, you can print it on a card, and what you can do, you can actually fussy cut it as well. So this is the way if you don't have Cricut or ScanNCut machine. So I do encourage you to get this collection because I included quite a lot of shade cards and also SVG files. But if you don't have electronic machine, you can also use those PDFs. So here are my templates and I fussy cut them using my scissors. If you want, you can also use a craft knife and that will be perfectly fine. So then you just have to store it with your collection. So here I use my 300 GSM white card. So as you can see, all the panels are ready. And to add a little bit more color to this easel shaped card, I'm going to use brown alcohol marker. If you want, you can also use a brown card, but to be honest, I don't really have much of it in my stash. That's why alcohol markers are the way to go for me. And whenever you create those elements, I also encourage you to add that color on all the edges. So this way, no one will ever know that you use alcohol marker instead of colored card, which is super simple trick, but it really makes a difference. So when this is ready, then we can adhere it on the front of a card. So as you can see on the left hand side, I've got two panels. So one will go at the front and one on the back of the card. Now I'm using my one and only liquid glue, magic glue, to assemble the elements together. And I do encourage you to use any liquid glue because you can always maneuver the elements if you make a mistake. Super simple. And now decisions how to decorate the card, which is always the trickiest for me. But before we do it, we have to create the card base. So using my scoring board from Crafters Companion, I'm going to create a top flap. Now using my scissors, I'm going to cut the excess off. And this way the card will be professionally finished. Often do you like creating shaped cards? If you do have your favorite shape, please let me know in the comments down below. So now it is time to assemble the back and the front of a card. If you want, you can also use a bone folder to banish that score line even more. And now the trick is just to make sure the glue sets properly before you move on to the next step. So as you can see, you can always maneuver the elements. Now it is time to create that canvas. So I've got my first rectangle in white color, and again it is 300 GSM. And now I decided to use those rainbow diamonds here. I really like that design paper, so I thought, why not? Let's use it here. So as you can see, I've got very nice border, but I think it is too white. So I'm going to use another brown alcohol marker from my stash, but this time it is slightly darker. So I will have a little bit of variation on the colors here. And if you do like using alcohol markers, you can also mix and match them from different brands, and that will be perfectly fine. So now my diamonds fit here very easily. So as you can see, this card comes together super quickly. And when you do get my PDF files, all I encourage you to do is to cut them out and keep them together with the design papers. So then you can use them over and over again. Now it is time to assemble the canvas on the easel, and at this point I thought it actually looks like a chalkboard or blackboard. So it would be a good idea to create some teacher's cards with this design as well. Here on the right, I've got some paintbrushes, and I use my SVG files, and using a pencil, I color coded all those elements, because when you get my SVG files, I color coded them, which means like one paintbrush is green, one is yellow, blue, and so on. So I use the pencil to write the first letter of the color, and this way it is so much easier for me to actually keep a track of all those paintbrushes, because to be honest, I cut a lot of them using my ScanNCut machine. Now I'm using my tri-blend alcohol markers from Spectrum Noir to add a little bit of color. But if you want, you can use any alcohol markers, coloring pencils, or watercolor markers from your stash, and that will be perfectly fine. You can also cut those elements from colored card. So yes, you can do that as well, and I'm pretty sure they will look amazing when you create any project with them. How often do you create cards for someone who likes art or colors? If you've never ever created that kind of card, I do encourage you to do so, because when I use my Color Your World collection, it always puts a big smile on my face, especially all those colors and patterns. So as you can see, I decided to use green alcohol marker for those paintbrushes, and I think they will really stand out on a card, because I do have a little bit of green at the very bottom of my diamond design paper. So I thought that would be the way to go, and this way all the elements will match beautifully, and that's what I really like when I create any cards. So now it is time to add that color on all the edges, so no one will know that we actually use white card to create those elements. So yes, please use that trick whenever you create any smaller elements. Now it is time to assemble the paintbrushes, and when you look at the very tip of the paintbrush, I left like a small element which will make sticking all the pieces together very easily. So now I'm using my one and only liquid glue, magic glue, because I do have time to maneuver the elements. And if you like this collection, don't forget to check the description down below, where I left the links to the full collection. I also left the link to just the design papers, SVG files, and PDF files. And if you really want this collection, don't wait, because the discount will only last until the 24th of June. Now it is time to put all those elements on a card, and as you can see, that green on the paintbrushes really matches the diamonds at the bottom. Now it is time to add a little bit of color to the art palette, and I'm going to use my Distress Oxide Ink and ink blending tool. And this way I'll have a little bit more variation, but it will look slightly vintage. Now it is my favorite part to add some gems on the palette, and as you can see, I also created that rainbow here, and it works really well on this card. So when this element is ready, all we have to do is to choose a sentiment, and as I told you, there are 30 sentiments in this collection. So for this one, I decided to use Explore, Create, Make. Using my punch here, I'm just rounding the corners super quick and easy. So as you can see, you don't really need any cutting dice to create beautiful projects with this collection. However, if you want to use your cutting dice, nothing stops you, especially with all those design papers and pattern papers in the collection. So now the cut is complete. So what do you think about this? Do you like it? I really hope you do. There is plenty of space to write your message inside, but also it stands proudly on a flat surface. So let's move on to cut number 2. This time we're going to create an artist's apron shaped card, and I'm going to use that beautiful pinkish lavender color to create the design on the card. You can also use that PDF file, but in this case I use my SVG file to cut all those elements. And this also looks like a dress, so you can use this design for any dress you want. To add a little bit more contrast, I decided to use that blue design papers for the smaller elements on the artist's apron. And now it will be time to assemble the elements. from my stash, I took that ribbon. But as you saw in that PDF file, you also get that ribbon element. So if you want, you can also cut it. But to be honest, here, I decided just to use the ribbon from my stash. I always use red liner tape on the back because this is the best way to hold any ribbons. If you do have your other favorite way to adhere ribbons on your cards, please let me know in the comments down below. Now I'm using my one and only liquid glue, magic glue, to assemble all those elements, which is super quick and simple. And if you haven't seen my video from from Sunday, where I show you how to create beautiful cards using the Artist Palette SVG file. The link is at the top right corner, and I will also leave it at the end of this video. And yesterday I had very special wedding card, which you can see at the top right corner here as well. So now I'm going to use my one and only liquid glue to put all those elements on a card, even for the ribbon. But to be honest, you really have to be patient with the ribbon. You can also put something heavy just to make sure the glue will set properly. So all the elements are there on the apron, and at this point, when I look at this, I think it would be amazing to add some flowers as well. Now it is time to use a scoring board to create the top flap, fold and burnish it, and our card will be nearly complete. But there is always a way to add something special, right? So using my one and only liquid glue, magic glue, I'm going to assemble the back and the front of a card together. And to be honest, there is still some space to write your message inside as well. If you do have any excess of the card that you don't want, you can always use your scissors to trim it off. Super quick and simple. Now I just had to make sure the ribbon was exactly where I wanted. Now it is time for a sentiment, and again I'm going to use my corner punch just around the corners to give it that extra special feel. And when this is ready, I couldn't decide where to put the sentiment. But to make it match to the apron, I'm going to use my Distress Oxide Ink in Kitsch Flamingo color. And now it is time to add that final touch. I couldn't resist and I had to add that art palette because in the end it is the artist shape card, right? So it is time to add that beautiful light brown on all the edges, and if you know me, you know what's left. We need to add a little bit of dimension and also some gems from my stash. So the palette is complete. Now it is time to put it on a card, but also add a little bit of dimension on a sentiment as well. And to do it, I'm going to use double-sided foam adhesive. If you want, you can also use a scrap piece of card to give the dimension as well, and that will be perfectly fine. So the cut is nearly complete. If you want, you can always cut those foam tapes into smaller pieces, and that will be perfectly fine. You can use your scissors or a pokey tool to peel off the backing of the tape. And now the cut is complete. What do you think about this? Do you like it? Would you like to give it a go? Or maybe you will turn it into a dress. There is plenty of space to write your message inside, and the card stands proudly on a flat surface. So, which card do you like the most? The apron or the easel? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching and spending that time with me. Don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you're new, because this week I will definitely have at least one more video for you with more inspiration. Have a wonderful day and happy crafting!